The Wehrmacht's early success during the first 3 years of World War II was largely due to its effective combination of infantry, armored vehicles, and aircraft. In addition, the Allied infantry forces often had difficulty dealing with German tanks once they had lost theirs during frontline combat. The American M1 and M2 rocket launchers were reliable weapons, except they could not penetrate the armor of medium and heavy tanks like German Panthers or Tigers. Front armor strikes proved continually ineffective, and thus the US Army began developing a new high-caliber rocket launcher. Inspired by the powerful German Panzerschreck, a German tank buster ironically based on early American bazooka design, the US Army built the M20 Rocket, better known by soldiers as the Super Bazooka. This potent weapon would be put to the test in Korea and Vietnam against the mighty Soviet T34 tanks. The bazooka. When the Americans joined the British forces to fight the Germans in Africa in mid-1942, they quickly learned the enemy was a small but elite force with excellent unit cohesion. Led by legendary World War I veteran Erwin Rommel, the Afrika Korps was a modest military force compared to the Allied troops in the continent. The Americans also learned that the reliable Sherman tanks did not have enough firepower or armor to face a German Panzer. Neither did their M1 rocket launchers, which helped destroy cover and clear enemy pillboxes, but struggled to immobilize German armored formations. The M1 rocket, known as bazooka, consisted of a steel pipe with thin walls, opened from both sides. The front handle, pistol grips, sights, and safety mechanism were attached to the steel pipe. The weapon was effective for ranges of up to 200 yards. It fired an M6 rocket with an expected penetration of 55 millimeters. In the fall of 1942, the British Army received 1,500 bazookas, the Soviet Union received 3,000, and the French resistance got about 1,000. The United States first used it during the landing in North Africa in November of 1942 under Operation Torch. As the use of the bazooka increased, many of these launchers fell under German hands. Some units, especially the Afrika Korps, began to use them under the name Raketenpanzerbuche 788 as they ran short of their own supplies. The German military then developed their own anti-tank rocket launcher, the Panzerschreck, which had a better penetration thanks to its 88mm caliber. History would repeat itself when the Americans seized several German Panzerschrecks in 1944 and used them to develop an even more powerful launcher. Plans for the American 89mm rocket launcher began by the fall of 1944. The result was the M20 Super Bazooka. A more powerful weapon. The M20 had a tube barrel separated into two parts. It was made of an aluminum alloy smoothbore barrel and was opened at both ends. Its front part contained the flash suppressor and clips to connect both halves of the barrel while on the move. The second part included the sights, the shoulder stock, the spring contacts, and the trigger. The Super Bazooka was 60 inches long and weighed 15 pounds. Its 89mm caliber fired an 88mm projectile that could penetrate up to 11 inches of armor. The M20 fired solid fuel-powered rockets with a shaped charge. The primary rockets used were the M29A2 Practice, the M30 White Phosphorus, and the M28A2 Heat. They accelerated at about 205 miles per hour and consisted of a mixture of TNT and cyclonite. The rockets were stabilized by radial tail fins, and they were ignited by the M20's electric igniter, made up of a plastic box with a detonator and a load of black powder. The M20 had two different sights: a removable collimator sight that consisted of a grid with circles and ellipses, and the standard iron sights that included markings of up to 900 yards. A retractable bipod was also included to fire while prone. The Super Bazooka was operated by groups of 3 to 4 men, an operator, an assistant, and 1 or 2 ammunition carriers. Before loading the weapon, the operator had to insert a shroud with a clip that connected the two parts of the barrel. The M20 rocket launcher began production in 1948 and was incorporated into U.S. Army and Marine units by 1950. An RPG in Asia. US military first used the M20 Super Bazookas in July of 1950 at Daejeon, Korea, when the war broke out in Asia. Soldiers using the original M1 launchers were quickly re-equipped with the new bazookas, immediately exploiting their additional power. The Super Bazookas proved lethal against Soviet T34 tanks. However, some M20s fell into North Korean hands and were used with the same success against American M4 Shermans. Fortunately, the more powerful M26 Pershing tanks were able to withstand the strikes. During the Korean War, NATO forces destroyed more than 200 Soviet T34 tanks. The M20 launcher was essential to the Marines, and the assault section of the weapons platoon had 6 Super Bazookas on hand. During the Vietnam War, the Marines used the M20s against enemy bunkers and other Viet Cong facilities hidden in the jungle. But as the war lingered on, the Super Bazooka was phased out in favor of light anti-tank weapons, or LAWs, like the M72 disposable launcher. The M20 inspired several future weapon designs and was ultimately operated by many nations around the world, including England, France, Germany, Turkey, Sweden, Austria, India, Pakistan, the Philippines, South Korea, and nearly every state in Latin America. Argentinian revolutionary Che Guevara would later honor it in his book Guerrilla, quote, "The bazooka is a powerful weapon. It is ideal against armored targets and unarmored troop transports, as well as capture of large military bases by small teams in a short period of time." Please like, comment, and subscribe to our Dark Documentaries channels to watch more content related to powerful equipment and weaponry. And tell us in the comments below what other launchers you would like us to cover.